Thanks for listening to the Woodward Podcast Network. Check out more shows by searching for us on Spreaker or wherever you catch your podcasts. The Woodward Podcast Network with Krupka Dental Associates.
This is Dr. John Krupka with Krupka Dental. Orthodontics is more than creating a beautiful smile. We provide ortho and airway evaluations which can reveal developmental and behavioral issues. Orthodontic treatment is now faster, more comfortable, and effective than ever before. Visit krupkadental.com.
Whether you're in your garden or hiking through the woods, we have you covered. Call now with your outdoor questions. In Appleton, call 281-1150 or outside the valley, 866-887-1150. From the Myron Construction Studio of WHBY, it's Outdoors with Rob Zimmer, brought to you by Dimensions Living Appleton.
We are here another Friday morning. It is Outdoors with Rob Zimmer on WHBY. I'm Haley Tenpass, host of Focus Fox Valley. And of course, we've got Rob Zimmer joining us as he does every Friday morning at 11. Rob, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We're both on the
back.
We're both back. And Rob was on the road last week. I was out of town last week. We'll talk a little bit about that today, I think.
Yes,
and
I think so.
I think so. But we've came back to fall.
Yes, it was summer when we left, or when I left anyway. It was like 70 degrees, and it was pretty green. And then I came back this week, and there's a lot of color here already, and it's looking like fall. So pretty cool to come back to fall in Wisconsin.
So that will kind of frame our hour here today. We would love, of course, to hear from you. 281-1150 is the number on the Settlers Bank phone lines. Where are you finding fall colors? Where are you maybe driving to or planning to drive to? Anything fall related. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and especially on rainy days like today, it's kind of nice to see the fall colors when it's overcast. You get better pictures, the colors stand out more. And it's nice to walk in the forest and feel those wet leaves underneath your feet and smell that fall smell. So it's actually a pretty nice morning. I've gone hiking a few places already this morning before I came here.
Really? Where?
Well, I went to Brilliant Nature Center and High Cliff. So, yep. And it was beautiful at both places.
I bet.
There's like I said, when I left, a week and a half ago, it was pretty green here. And I came back and there's a lot of color. So fall came fast.
It did.
While I was on the road.
And if you look at that Travel Wisconsin map, I think I'm going to pull it up because you can see where Wisconsin is really peaking right now, because some areas are peaking.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up the Wisconsin Fall Guide, Fall Color Report here quickly if I can.
Yeah, last night, I got home yesterday and I went to Navarino right away to check out the fall color there, and there was a lot of color there too. So that's a great place to see the fall color. And I'm actually going to do 2 top 10 lists this week, because I didn't do one last week because I was on the road. But I'm going to do my top 10 fall color hot spots, as well as something else that's happening right now is we're getting close to peak sandhill crane migration. So I'm going to talk about sandhill cranes and some great places to see them as well. And that'll be another top 10 list. And if you're seeing a lot of cranes, or if you're seeing a lot of fall color, or if you want to share your favorite places to see fall color, please give us a call.
So as I look at Wisconsin's Fall Color Report, again, you can find this by visiting Travel Wisconsin. They've been on our show here before, and we've spoke with them. But really, I'm seeing some of the best viewing right now. If you were to take a drive, I would suggest going up to Shawano County, taking maybe, or the opposite east side of the state, I'd say go up through Door County. That's where you're seeing some of those peak colors right now.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, Shawano, Navarino is in Shawano County, and I was there yesterday. It was just amazing. Even the oaks are already changing up there, which is, if that means it's getting close to the end of fall. Well, not the end of fall, but oaks are usually one of the last trees to change color. But there were a lot of oaks with a lot of color yesterday. A lot of maples, of course, and reds and yellows. And just some gorgeous color. The witch hazel was blooming. I posted some pictures of that on my Facebook page. That's our last blooming wildflower of the year, and it's blooming like crazy right now at Navarino and Mosquito Hill and places like that.
I love Shawano County had written this: sunny days, cool nights, the perfect combination for viewing the 376 barn quilts scattered throughout the landscape. They've got amazing hues of gold and orange with pops of crimson. So check it
Yeah.
out. That was an update from the 4th. So a few days ago, but still pretty relevant. Check it out.
Of course, Shawano County's known for the amazing barn quilts that you can. They actually have tours that you can pick up and drive all over the county to look at all the different amazing barn quilts, which are so cool to see.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, 281-1150 is the number. Rob, are you able to speak to, you mentioned the oaks. Can we speak to some of the different trees that, bring those reds, those oranges, those bright yellows?
Oh, sure. Yeah, your reds are usually like your swamp maples. Those are red. Some of them come pretty early. So the red swamp maples, a lot of the sumacs right now are in full red color. They're the nice scarlet ones. And some of the other trees that are red, too, are some of the oaks. Again, oaks are usually later, but this year I'm seeing a lot of color already mixed in with the maples and the sumacs. And those are your beautiful red colors. Purple, you get a lot of purple with some of the ashes right now. A lot of your ash trees are starting to change color. There's some of the early ones. They bloom in purple, or not bloom. Their leaves turn purple and kind of a crimson red color. So that's a pretty cool thing to see too. Of course, your yellows, you get lots of yellow and gold right now, and that's some of your other maple trees and aspens and birches and basswoods and witch hazel. Witch hazel leaves are yellow, and you can see how much witch hazel is out there when you see all the yellow trees and small shrubs blooming. Oranges are usually like your sugar maples and some of those. I'm seeing some orange, but not a lot of really bright, brilliant orange yet because the sugar maples are a little bit later. They're still coming yet in most places, but that's where you got a lot of the orange is the maples, the sugar maples. And another one of my favorite oranges is the American beech trees, where you have American beech trees, which not so much right here in our area. There are a few, but usually you have to go east and north, like along Point Beach and Cato Falls and places like that, where you get a lot of beech trees. Even Brilliant Nature Center has quite a few. And then, of course, up north, there's a lot of beech trees up in Marinette County, Door County. And those are where you get your really glow-in-the-dark neon orange. One of my favorite spots for beech trees, actually, for the orange, is actually Newport State Park up in Door County. If you go through there in mid to late October, they have a huge beech forest that's kind of at the north end of the forest, the park there, and you walk through that, and you're just walking down like these tunnels of orange trails, and it's just incredible. So that's where you get a lot of your oranges, is the beech trees. So other reds, high bush cranberry is also a great shrub that's scarlet red and gorgeous also. So lots of different color combinations in there. Of course, everybody likes to see the reds and the oranges, but I'm kind of a fan of the yellows. I love yellow in fall, especially on a bright sunny day. And of course, another yellow that comes later in October and November is the tamarack trees. The tamarack trees are gorgeous, gorgeous trees. They're the only conifer in our area that actually loses its leaves or its needles, and they turn a gorgeous golden yellow by the end of October, early November. And then they drop their needles, and then it's winter.
Yeah, that's another sign.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of, I did see my first juncos yesterday, which a lot of people know if you follow my page or follow me on the radio. When you see the juncos, that means fall is here. Actually, winter is coming. And I did see quite a big flock yesterday flying around Navarino. Yeah.
They know.
They know.
They know.
Yeah. Although it's supposed to be almost 80 for the next week again, so
it's going to be warm.
All right.
I know. It's been beautiful out. All right, 281-1150. That's our number today. Anyone? Well, I want to talk about this coming up, but we're moving to our new house this weekend, and we've got a lot of walnuts. Oh. So it's that season, too, for walnuts, hickory nuts.
Yeah.
If you've got any of those trees in your yard,
what do you do with them?
What do you do with them? Mm-hmm. Are you just picking them up by the ice cream pail?
Do you use them, or do you throw them out like a lot of people do? Because there's some great things you can make. It's a lot of work for hickory nuts and walnuts and stuff, but even acorns, but there's so many beautiful things you can make with them. So acorns, I think, are one of the most underutilized crops that we have out there because it's a lot of work, but acorns are delicious, and there's a lot of them this year.
Yeah.
And hazelnuts, too.
Hazelnuts. Yeah. We've got a lot of wonderful fall things. Colors are happening, the changes in the air, and we'd love to hear from you today. 281-1150 is the number. Let's take a break. You're listening to Outdoors with Rob Zimmer on WHBY. And this is Outdoors with Rob Zimmer, part of Focus Fox Valley on WHBY, Real Local Radio. Outdoors with Rob Zimmer, and Rob Zimmer with me here in the Myron Construction Studios. Let's head to the phone lines. Mike joins us on this Friday. Hello to you, Mike. You're on with Rob.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I feel like you're going to talk about Maine, so I won't ask about that. But what I was wondering is I do have a black walnut tree in my backyard. And I guess the reason why I haven't tried doing them is I've tried finding stuff on the internet to see a halfway decent, easy way of breaking the nuts open without practically breaking your arm.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what do you find to be the easiest way of getting them open?
Well, I know one of the easiest ways that my friend's family does, and they do this every year, and they have thousands and thousands of nuts. What they do is they kind of pick them and dry them for a couple weeks, and then they actually throw them in the driveway. They live out in the country. They throw them in the driveway, and they go up and down over them with their car and their truck. So, and then they come apart pretty easy. But
My grandmother used to do the same thing, but
Yeah.
they'd take plywood and put it over the top.
oh yeah,
So you
I
drive.
think they probably do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you drive over with some plywood. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a lot of them, I mean, that's an option. And once they're dry, and they drive over them, that comes right off. It's still messy. You're still going to get black hands and everything, but it works. And that's something they've turned this into like a ritual where they do this, and they just live out in Black Creek, so they have. They're the experts at that, but yeah, they just dry them for a couple weeks in the barn, and then throw them all out in the driveway and have fun just driving over them, and you get a lot of nuts cracked very quickly that way. So, and Haley's.
I think that I've never thought of that brilliant idea when you said that about running them over. Couldn't that possibly cause a flat tire? That putting some like a 3/8 piece of plywood over them, I think would be pretty smart.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're cutting out there. I barely heard that.
Yeah, Mike, your phone connection isn't the strongest here.
But I heard you
It's
say.
probably me, kind of my mouth likes to wander, and I got one of those life-proof cases on.
Oh.
Which they're really good at preventing my phone from blowing up when I drop it, which I do drop it probably 2 or 3 times a week. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. So yeah, that's a really good idea. So the other question I was wondering about them, so it doesn't apparently matter if they have black spots on them, then, because obviously after letting them sit for a couple weeks, they're going to start changing colors, turning with black spots. The reason why I'm asking that is my neighbor in the back told me that what he did is he soaks them for about a week, and then he pops them open, and he says you don't really want to get the ones that have black spots on them.
It could mean, the black spots on the outer shell, I think it really doesn't matter because, they're already turning black when they're in the tree. Maybe soaking them, maybe that makes them tougher or something. And I've heard of soaking them too, but I like my friend's idea of just drying them first and rolling over them with the car. And then it doesn't matter if they turn, because they're going to turn black when they're drying anyway. They're not going to be fresh and green. They're going to be pretty dark and pretty dry and pretty black when you roll them over. So I'm not sure what the point was in that. It's a nut, so it's unless he's thinking there's worms or something in there, but it's a pretty solid nut. So a black spot on an outer hull probably isn't going to do much, unless it means they're rotten inside. If that's what he thinks, but I'm not sure.
Because like you said, I've got thousands of them. And got way too many buddies out there hanging around my tree, too. They're increasing by the year in number, too, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
One of the things I am curious about, obviously squirrels eat
Oops, I think you cut out. I heard something about squirrels, but the squirrels in my yard are eating my black.
Well, are there any other animals other than squirrels?
Oh, yes.
That eat walnuts?
Oh, yeah. Chipmunks do, deer do, turkeys do. I've even seen blue jays, peck them open, and woodpeckers kind of crack them open. So lots of different birds. And I think even foxes and coyotes eat walnuts. Deer, I think I said deer eat walnuts too. So there's a lot of animals that do eat the walnuts. The squirrels especially because, they've been busy for weeks already gathering them right in my yard and running back and forth across the street and scaring me because I think they're going to get hit by cars. And yeah, there's a lot of different animals that eat the walnuts. I think even raccoons and possums and rats and all sorts of different animals do.
It's ironic you were talking about the raccoons because one of my neighbors was telling me about a week talking right down through this area, so that's what they were obviously going after was the walnuts.
Oh, probably,
yeah.
Yep. And raccoons are kind of funny when they do it because they'll take them and peel them and wash them off. And, raccoons have hands almost just like people, and they're pretty careful about the way they peel the nuts and wash them off and everything. So it's kind of funny to watch them. Obviously, they prefer them to be cracked, but they can do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they crack them? Do they just do what those squirrels do too with their teeth?
Well, I've seen raccoons actually hit them against rocks and stuff. So raccoons are pretty smart. So, yeah. And even some of the birds, like crows and ravens and blue jays, they'll fly up in the air with them and drop them on rocky ledges and cliffs and stuff and let them break and then go pick them up. So crows are pretty smart. And blue jays.
The other thing that I've seen what some crows will do too is they get on the telephone pole or telephone wires and they'll drop them into traffic.
Yep, exactly. Yep, I've seen YouTube videos of that where they're pretty amazing animals. Yep.
Yeah, I think squirrels are too. They're
Yeah.
both two of the more intelligent common animals that you see here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's fun to watch the squirrels eat the hickory nuts too, but the walnuts they have it down to a science.
Yeah.
They do, but I still don't like them in my yard because they like to try to take residence in my house.
Yep.
Fantastic.
All right.
Hey, Mike, we appreciate the call today. You take care, and
Well,
good luck.
Happy walnut
Good luck.
cracking.
Yeah, happy walnut cracking.
well, thank you. Thank
Yep.
you. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and I appreciate all the info, Rob. You do a
Sure.
great job in explaining things in layman's terms.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 281-1150 is the number. Yeah, that's a great point that a lot of different animals, it's not just squirrels, although they seem to have the monopoly on them.
Oh, they do, yep. And hickory nuts, too. They're nut eaters. But, at night you get a lot of, deer and raccoons and possums and all sorts of animals that eat them, too. Foxes, anything that can get at them. And woodpeckers, like I said, woodpeckers, crows, jays, ravens, they all eat them, too. So, pretty popular food crop. Yep.
All right. I know you have a couple of top 10 lists to get to.
Yes.
We don't have time to go through
right.
the entire list right now. Would you like to start it and pick up after the break?
Yeah, I think
Let's get a couple in here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do some fall color because I can do a few now and a few later. These are some of my fall color hotspots. And if you have some, give us a call and let us know where you like to go see the fall color every year. But my top 10, number 10 is Nisita National Wildlife Refuge out in central Wisconsin. It's just a gorgeous area. They have a little bit of everything out there. They have a lot of maples, a lot of sumacs, a lot of blueberries. A lot of people don't think of blueberries when they think of fall color, but blueberries are just incredible for your fall color. And tamaracks and everything else out that way. And oaks apparently too, or obviously too. So Nisita National Wildlife Refuge. Number 9, where I just was yesterday, is up in Shawano County at Navarino Wildlife Area. It's starting to look really beautiful up there. The birches and aspens and maples and witch hazels and everything else are turning. Even some of the oaks are turning red and orange. So that's a beautiful area to just walk around the sandhills there or drive around the country roads and look at the fall color. Number 8, out in western Wisconsin, follow the Mississippi River up and down the shore from the southern border at Dubuque all the way up through La Crosse and north. It's just some beautiful, beautiful views there along the big bluffs along the Mississippi River with all of the different trees out that way. And they have a lot of different types of varieties of trees out there, so you get lots of different color there also. And I'll do one more, number 7. For now, is Hartman Creek State Park over by Wapaka. That's another great place to see fall color. Just reflected in the clear spring-fed waters of the lakes there, the chain of lakes, and you get all sorts of colors there again from the oaks and the tamaracks and maples and everything else that are changing their color along the shores of the lakes at Hartman Creek.
Beautiful. All right, we'll pause there. We'll pick this up after the break. And right now, great time to get your calls in, 281-1150. On the Settlers Bank phone lines, 920-281-1150. We'd love to hear from you as we talk fall color. Where do you go this time of year to explore? We'll be back with more of Outdoors with Rob Zimmer. And first, here is today's Garden Bite. And we're back with Outdoors with Rob Zimmer on WHBY. During the break, Rob and I were sharing tales of our trips we took. We'll talk about Rob's trip in particular coming up. But right now, we are going through his top 10 list of fall color destinations. And if you're listening and saying, hey, you missed blank, the best place to go, call us and tell us.
I can't put them all in here, you know.
281-1150, 920-281-1150 is the number on the Settlers Bank phone lines. All right, we went through 10 through 7, Necedah, Navarino Nature Center, drive the Mississippi River, and visit Hartman Creek State Park. Number 6 is ready to roll. Rob?
Yeah, number 6 is in Wausau, Rib Mountain State Park. That's a gorgeous area on the ski hills and on Granite Peak there. You can actually take the ski lifts up and down the mountain to look at
Always wanted to do that.
Yeah, to look at the fall colors too. So that would be a great place to go. And of course, just hiking the trails and just driving through the area is just as beautiful too. But check that out. Number 5 is the Northwoods. Now, there's so many places in the Northwoods that I just generally say the Northwoods because, you can go everywhere across the state from Marinette County west all the way through, Rhinelander and Eagle River and Antigo and Minocqua, and the whole area is just so beautiful. So pick some of your favorite places up there and go. Obviously, I'm partial to the Crivets and Thompson State Park area because that's, as I've said many times on the show, that's where I kind of grew up. So that's one of my favorite places to go. But the whole Northwoods area all across the state is just gorgeous.
One of my favorite stretches is taking, and I can't think of the highway right now, but it's a winding road, rustic trail from Rhinelander to the Minocqua area, and it's just stunning. It's my favorite.
That whole area is gorgeous. First, Kathy Keene, she's from the Eagle River area. She loves it up there too, so it's a great area. Number 4, down in southwest Wisconsin, the whole Kickapoo River Valley. That's another great area to drive through or explore. There's many different state natural areas and waterways there that you can enjoy the river and the fall color along the really tall bluffs there. Number 3, kind of lumping a whole area together again, the whole Baraboo Hills area down north of Madison. That includes Wisconsin Dells. There's lots of state parks there. There's Devil's Lake State Park, Mirror Lake State Park, lots of different little county parks and little natural areas all along Wisconsin Dells and the Baraboo Hills that are just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You have the great big bluffs, the great big hills, and lots of fall color up and down the slopes there. Number 2, Kettle Moraine State Forest. Both southern and northern unit around Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, between that area, Campbellsport. That's a beautiful, beautiful area. There's auto tours. There's a million places you can stop and get out and hike and check out the colors. There's bogs and lakes and cliffs and trails and hills and everything. That's one of my favorite areas. And number 1, of course, is Door County. So many places to go see the fall color in the Door County countryside. No matter what kind of scenery you like, whether it's farms or forests or swamps or the cliffs, the coastal areas there. So many beautiful places to check out the fall color in Door County. I talked about before, one of my favorite spots is Newport State Park. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And of course, Whitefish Dunes and Peninsula and Potawatomi and all the other state parks. And they have many, many different little Door County Land Trust areas and state natural areas you can explore. If you don't like crowds, you can get out to any of those little places and enjoy the beautiful colors up in Door County.
One that I would add to that list, Holy Hill.
Oh,
yeah. That area of Wisconsin. It's really a quick drive from here for the day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of consider that in the Kettle Moraine southern unit. But it's Holy Hill specifically is just incredible, with the church up on the hill and all the maples and oaks and stuff. It's beautiful. That whole area between, Fond du Lac and West Bend and even down further into Waukesha and over toward some of the other Lapham Peak and some of the other southern Kettle Moraine hiking spots there is just incredible. Yeah.
And those areas of Wisconsin are at about 50% looking at this Travel Wisconsin map. The Northwoods you are seeing in the St. Germain Eagle River area, they are saying that they are almost past peak. So it goes fast. You blink. That's according to Travel Wisconsin.
What's Necedah? Necedah, that's in Adams County, central Wisconsin. Yeah,
central Wisconsin, the Watoma, Waushara County areas, looking up here, the Stevens Point area, they're about 75% to 100. Yeah, according to Travel Wisconsin.
Wisconsin Rapids, too?
Wisconsin Rapids.
So I'm going there in 2 weeks with my friend.
Is looking to be about 75%.
Yep, going fast.
Yeah. So check it out before it's gone.
Yes. And where's your favorite place? Give us a call. Tell us some other favorite places if you want to give away the secret.
We'd love to hear. Yeah, 920-281-1150 on the Settlers Bank phone lines.
Yep. I also want to talk really quick about sandhill crane migration, if I can throw a little bird thing in there right away. Do we have any calls or anything?
Nope. Okay. Lines are open.
Good. So sandhill cranes, they're really starting to peak now or hit peak numbers. Usually mid-October to late October is peak And then more cranes start to move out in November, and even a lot of them hang around even till December. But right now we're seeing some really big sandhill crane numbers. So I wanted to just give some places to go see those really quick if you want to see the sandhill crane migration. Obviously, sunrise and sunset are the best times to be at some of these places because that's when the cranes are coming in and leaving their roosting marshes. But if you take a chance and drive around any of these places, even in the middle of the day, drive around the cornfields and soybean fields and stuff around these areas, you're going to find lots of cranes too. So some of my favorite places to see them are Oconto Marsh up in Oconto County along the harbor there. There's a big marsh and lots of sandhill cranes there. Kill Snake Wildlife Area in Calumet County is a great place. That's just outside of Chilton. Brillion Wildlife Area and Brillion Nature Center was where I just was this morning, actually. Lots of cranes congregating there. Collins Marsh, which is right next door to there in Manitowoc County. Thousands of cranes show up there, and there's a lot of cranes there right now. And again, if you don't get there at sunrise or sunset, just drive the hills and roads around Collins, especially on the east side. You'll see lots of cranes up on the farm hills and stuff. Number 6, Necedah. We talked about Necedah before for fall color. Well, it's also a great place to see sandhill cranes. And if you're lucky, you'll also see whooping cranes out there. Number 5 is up toward Marshfield and Wausau, the Mead Wildlife Area. That's a great staging area for sandhill cranes. And that's kind of what sandhill cranes are doing right now. They're staging or getting into these huge flocks that get together before they fly south. Number 4 in Wisconsin Rapids, we just talked about that before, Sandhill Wildlife Area. It's actually called Sandhill Wildlife Area for a reason. There's a lot of cranes there. Number 3, down toward Madison, just north of Madison, is the Aldo Leopold Center. That's a really great place to see cranes. They give crane tours and crane observation blinds and things like that there that you can enjoy. Number 2, Horicon National Wildlife Refuge. All around Horicon, you're going to see thousands of cranes for the next month or two, really. Sandhill cranes usually are still there in early December, so that's a great place to see them. And my number 1 place to see sandhill cranes in the area is Navarino Wildlife Area up in Shawano, where I just was yesterday. Every evening, flying into this really perfect setting in this marsh in this little valley, you see thousands and thousands of cranes that fly in every night at sunset, and they're still there in the morning. If you get there at sunrise, they fly out at sunrise to go out to the surrounding cornfields to feed.
Describe the sound, Rob.
It's incredible. If you've heard sandhill cranes before, even just one crane is almost deafening when they start to do that kind of prehistoric rattling cry that they do. It really is primal and prehistoric. And when you get hundreds or thousands of them together, it's just breathtaking, and your ears just ring for hours after. You can still hear them when you're sleeping. But it's just an amazing sound. And a lot of people hear about the Platte River in Nebraska in the spring to see the cranes, but really you don't have to go that far. We have a lot of cranes right here in the state to enjoy, and that sound is just magical. I love it.
What are they feeding on?
All sorts of things. During the year they feed on different types of food. Right now they're basically feeding on waste grains. When farmers go in and plow their corn or soybeans, they pick up the scraps basically, and that there's a lot of wasted grain out there that feeds these birds as they're getting ready to migrate in the fall, the months of fall. So a lot of it right now is waste grain, but throughout the year they eat just about anything they can get: frogs and grasshoppers and snakes and sadly baby birds, and in the winter it's again a lot of grains, a lot of corn and things like that. So they are opportunistic feeders though, and they'll eat just about anything.
But you mentioned prehistoric. They are such a unique animal.
And they literally are unchanged for millions of years. The sandhill cranes we see today are the exact same bird that was here millions and millions of years ago. They're one of the, just like alligators and turtles and sharks and things, they're one of the prehistoric animals that are still around with us, just like they were back then.
All right, let's go to the phone lines.
All right.
On the Settlers Bank phone line, Randy is joining us this morning. Good morning, Randy. You're on with Rob.
Well, thank you. I enjoy listening to your show. I'm just wondering, and I'll listen off the air, when do animals start to hibernate? Just wondering, which animal starts to hibernate first, or are we, early, or is it still to come?
Sure.
Thanks for the call, Dad.
Oh,
thank you.
Yep. Different animals start to hibernate at different times. And, of course, hibernate is kind of a general word that, some animals are true hibernators. Some animals just basically go into a little slumber, or what they call a torpor. They don't really hibernate, but they go into shelter. Right now, I think it's a little bit too early. for most animals. Some of the snakes might have started to go back into their hibernaculums or their little tunnels. So snakes are one of the first because they're obviously they're cold-blooded, so they like the warm weather and the sunshine. But they start to move toward their hibernating areas right now. Woodchucks and chipmunks are earlier than some things. Squirrels hibernate later, if they hibernate at all. Way after chipmunks and woodchucks, but woodchucks and chipmunks will start going in. Bear are usually out for quite a while yet, probably until we get a good hard freeze. And of course, if we get warm days in winter, even bears will actually get out of their dens and walk around for a little while too. But bears should be going in, depending on the temperatures, in the next month or so. There's a lot of insects that hibernate, like some of our native bees, bumblebees and mason bees and things like that. They will kind of go into hibernation. The queen will hibernate. The workers will die, but in a lot of those species, the queens will actually survive the winter and go under a log or in your garden debris, which is why we talked about on the show before, don't clean up your debris in your garden, because there's a lot of butterflies that actually hibernate as cocoons and chrysalises. And moths as cocoons, and some of the insects too. I'm trying to think what other animals. Turtles and frogs, it's probably still too early for those creatures. A lot of the frogs will hibernate on land. American toads, wood frogs, some of those spring peepers, they actually just hibernate right on the land. They go under some leaves or dig themselves in, and that's all they do. Whereas other species of frogs, like green frogs and bullfrogs and leopard frogs, they go to water and hibernate on the bottom. They dig into the mud at the bottom, or sometimes they just lay there on the bottom and kind of fall asleep. Turtles too, but it's a little bit too early for those creatures to get in. But that could change pretty quick if we get some cold weather. Usually October, November is a pretty good time for that. There's a lot of animals, obviously, that don't hibernate too. Your whitetails and foxes and minks and weasels and coyotes and all of that. Those don't hibernate. I'm trying to run through my head really quick to see if I missed anything. But I think I got most of them.
That was good.
Yeah.
The only one you missed that hasn't hibernated yet, those darn mosquitoes.
Oh, the mosquitoes. Yeah, they're still out there. I noticed some this morning. Yeah, they're still around.
It's October.
Yep. And it's supposed to get even warmer next week, so they'll probably stick around.
I know. Yet. All right.
Yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Love the call. I can recognize that voice
really?
in a second. So
yeah, so it's still a little bit too early for most of them, other than the snakes, and the rest will start to go in the next 4 to 6 weeks or so.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. We're going to take one more break here. Still time to squeeze in a phone call if you'd like. 281-1150 is the number on that Settlers Bank phone line. We'll be back with more Outdoors with Rob Zimmer after this. This is Outdoors with Rob Zimmer on WHBY. Rob, really quick, highlights of your trip to Maine, if you could.
Oh, yes.
What was the best part?
Holy cow, that's putting me on the spot. There's so many. I mean, we went to just about every state, which was really nice, and we drove. So we actually drove through. We actually started by taking the Badger across Lake Michigan, which was that was an adventure in itself. I mean, that was just amazing. And then drove through Michigan into Ohio and across Pennsylvania, and as you get into Pennsylvania, you start to see the mountains, the Poconos and everything, and that was beautiful. Then we cut across the bottom half of New York to Connecticut, which was our first real taste of the ocean and stuff in there. That was beautiful. I mean, it wouldn't have hit me at first to think of Connecticut as a really gorgeous place along, for me as a nature lover, but oh my gosh, Connecticut was incredible. And then we cut through up to New Hampshire into Maine. And we kind of jutted back and forth a few times there, too. Like the first couple days, we went back and forth between Maine and Massachusetts and New Hampshire to hit all these different places.
Yeah.
It is. And we wanted to hit all these different places. Like we went to the Whaling Museum and a submarine museum and all different things. And I think I was in Connecticut last week when I did the show. I was sitting in Connecticut along the ocean. It was just, as I was on the show, there's jellyfish swimming in the water, the dock beneath me, and schools of fish and stuff. And it was just so cool to see. And then we hit Maine, and we stayed there for several days because Maine is just, oh my gosh, incredible. And of course, all the little seacoast places along the shore, and then Acadia National Park. Of course, we spent 2 days there because it's so big and so incredible that you have to spend several days there. And that was like the highlight. I think Acadia was, because it's just, I mean, you're on these there's little mountain tops there. You're climbing up huge mountains and getting this view of the ocean. And standing along all the rocky bluffs, and I love just going down in the ocean in the tidal pools and looking for starfish and sea urchins and seaweed. There's so many cool seaweeds and clams and mussels, and it was just amazing. And then on the return trip, we kind of cut across through Maine, west through the interior of Maine, which is just as gorgeous. All the different mountain chains and lakes and things. And then into New Hampshire again, further north in New Hampshire. Like when we first came in, we went down on the coast of New Hampshire, which a lot of people don't even realize New Hampshire has a seacoast, and it's gorgeous. But we were up in the mountains, Mount Washington, the White Mountains there, and then cut over into Vermont in the Green Mountains and some of the different areas there, and then kind of cut back down through the Adirondack Mountains in New York over to Niagara Falls and along the Erie Canal and into Pennsylvania and Ohio again, and it was such an amazing trip, and I have lots of beautiful memories and lots of pictures that I'm going to be sharing on my Facebook page, and there'll be a book coming out about my trip too. So, but it was incredible.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, we've got about a minute here. I know you wanted to do a PSA on bulbs.
Oh yeah, it is time. I mean, it's actually pretty warm out yet, but it is time to start thinking about planting your bulbs, your tulips and daffodils and alliums and fritillaries and hyacinths and everything else. And lots of cool bulbs out there yet at places like we were just talking about. Menards has a really good section of bulbs this year. So check out Menards if you haven't been there yet. They have some really cool stuff that I haven't seen other places. Some really cool collectible or unique daffodils and tulips and hyacinths and fritillaries and crown imperials and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, you want to get your bulbs now so you actually have them. Otherwise, they'll be sold out. But try to find some of the unusual stuff, not just your yellow daffodils and your red tulips, but try to find some of these really cool parrot tulips and lily flowering tulips and colored daffodils and all these other different plants to put in your garden. And it's pretty much time to start planting now. Hopefully, it'd be ideal if it would cool down a little bit because bulbs don't like super warm soils. But time to get out there and get your bulbs and start planting them in the garden for a big spring show next year. Yeah.
You got to do it now.
The
payoff is worth it in the spring.
Yep. Yep. And plant them in big masses. Don't just plant like
one.
Skip the bulb planters. Those are a waste of time. Get your shovel out, dig a big hole, a foot or two wide, and just cram it full of bulbs and put on a big show.
There you go. All right. It's been a fun hour. Thank you for joining us here today for Outdoors with Rob Zimmer. We'll be back next week. Bye, everyone.
Get running this fall at Dunkin' with $2 medium iced coffees from 2 to 6 p.m. Try any of Dunkin's delicious iced coffee, like their signature original blend. Or treat yourself to mocha, caramel, or the fall favorite, pumpkin. Always freshly brewed, made just the way you like it. Make time for happy hour and enjoy a $2 medium iced coffee from 2 to 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.